Well, this is the last couple places I have any repairs to take care of, I think, I hope. Can't think of anything else. But these are pretty small. That one's a little smaller. Pretty small areas, but it seems complicated, but I don't think it's going to be. And the only reason it seems complicated is because there's an overlapping seam right here that runs along. You can see that. But I got an idea of how to take care of it. I have put together a little stamp die that will allow this bottom piece to have that recess bend to it, so I can overlap a piece so it's flat. I can show you what that looks like. And then I'll stamp that, weld that together, and then make my patch out of that, as long as my seams correlate with each end. And I've already cut out a little piece here I think will work. I dotted lined here the where I think my seam needs to be. Oh, looking at it again, it's a little crooked. Oh, I'll redo that. That's all I'm going to do. That one's right, but I think that one's clear up here. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. Squiggle that out. So I'll just make sure my seam on this piece, it doesn't need to go very high because the rust is just pretty much concentrated from here down. So I don't have to go clear up and around here. I'm just going to, basically it's an inch. Yeah, just coming up about an inch above the seam line. And then obviously there's some holes clear down here, and I'm going to come down far enough to cut all that out. Should get all that out of there with that. And then fortunately there's not really rust right here, it's just kind of a surface scale. And I'll just be able to concentrate inside the bend, so I don't have to try to form that shape. And this inside bend here, if I need to, looks like I need to, I'll just weld on a tab or a flat lip on there. So anyhow, it should be pretty simple. When I'm done with prepping it, I'm just gonna have a patch this big I have to weld in. So it should be really simple. Okay, this piece of metal will work. It's big enough to get my patch out of. All I'll have to do is make sure that I get this line, this seam line, lined up right when I go to do that. So I'm going to wind up making, obviously, this longer than it needs to be. This bottom piece needs to be this long, and then I'll have an overlapping piece on top. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll cut that out. I'll make sure that's going to be right, and we'll stamp it. So my plan here, this is actually the same cutout as my template, like so. But I do have a spot where I want that seam to lie, and I can't just throw this on top because it would stick out and look ugly. So what I did was make a stamp, just super simple. I had 2 pieces of flat stock steel and just welded some sheet metal. It's the same gauge metal as this, so it should be appropriate. So basically all I need to do is set this on here. I'll just make sure this line lines up properly there, and I'll set this one on top, and that will stamp a recess into that where this top layer will sit flat. Much like, this is a test piece I stamped out. Now with that stamped like that, and then when I put this piece on top, it'll be flush on across here and it'll look normal. It'll look like it should. So we'll run over to the press. I will set this up appropriately. Give myself a little bit of a setback on that line. And I just need to make sure, might have to tape that down. I don't know if I'm going to get that to stay up there. I guess I could go like that. So I'll get this lined up and run it over here to the press. Yeah, wouldn't an air over hydraulic be perfect? Let's see. I don't feel like I... Okay, that's better. That should be good. Yeah, close enough. Okay, so that set me up nice to put that on here and to get that look that I want. But now all I have to do is weld this on here. I'll probably, I think I'll shorten this up now that I know where that needs to be, and that way I can have my weld closer to that bead there. If I really wanted to make it look right, then I could just drill a couple holes and spot weld that into place, but I'm not getting that picky. So I think I'll just trim this off back here. Forgot which way that went. All right, goes like that. All right. There. Put some tacks on the back of that. There. Finished patch panel. Same size as this one. Well, you can't see it that way. I'll put it on top. If anything, it's a little long. No, yeah. Certainly is. That's good, right? Okay. So now I can take this over. So this is just a little die set. I'll hang on to them, or I can cut that off and modify them later for something else. But I'm sure they'll come in handy some other time. So anyhow, like I was saying, super simple. So let's go see about cutting this out and putting this in. All right, that should be pretty good. Looks good. Now it's definitely a little wider than I need. So I only need to come in to right about here, just inside that bend. All right, so I can actually take my scribe. I'm definitely going to line up my seams here. Most importantly right here. Things are wiggling on me. Okay. So I'll cut inside here and here. And I'm going to wind up trimming off this edge a little bit, but I'm not going to do that until I know exactly where. So it looks like back here. And back here. Yeah, maybe I will. I don't know. Now, when I get this out, then I can clean this up. I'll spray some treatment in there, some weld-through primer, just to kind of seal it up. I'll put weld-through primer on the back of that as well. I like to throw a magnet on here, I can hang on to it. Alright, so here we go. Yeah. All right, I'll get that tacked in. There. So I got it tacked in. Seam lines up, it looks great. I'm still going to cut a little piece of flat strap. I'll lay in here so that I have that lip that it needs to finish it off, and then I'll just get her all welded up. All right, that should take care of that. I will knock that down with the flap disc, and hopefully that's it. Okay, there. Now there's some slight imperfections in where the welds are in here. I'm not worried about it. we're going to have seam sealer in here, and there's a seal that will ride in here. So it should be just fine. And maybe a little filler on there just to make it look perfect. But anyhow, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to throw some self-etching primer on here and jump over to that one and finish it up. There. That's way better. So I finally got all of the metal work done. Now I just need to throw seam sealer in all these seams. These ones here like this I'm going to clean out. I still need to do some cleanup, but I'm going to seam seal it and then start body work. I got where all my welds patches are, it needs a skim, just a skim of filler over that because there is some grinding and some just slight imperfections where it got too hot and maybe dimpled a little bit or something. So I need to strip all these stripes off and filler and a lot of sanding. Fortunately, this is the original paint. The original paint is pretty easy to strip down, so that's going to be my next thing. All the sanding and body work and stuff is going to be kind of boring. I'll just show highlights on that. But I want to jump over somewhere before winter really sets in. It's fall now, it's getting cold. I need to get my old Chevy DK into the shop and do some work on it so I can do some winter wheeling. But other than that, it's just body work and paint and assembly. So anyhow, I appreciate you following along. I hope everything I'm showing is helpful. Some of this stuff I have to figure out as I'm going along. I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to do that repair, but it worked out really good, and I'm happy with it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch up with you later. Bye.